Greetings, dear friends, wanderers of Middle-earth lore. Today we embark on a journey as old as the annals of Arda, a tale of power, wisdom, and the eternal struggle against darkness. Our question looms like a shadow over the realm. Was Gandalf powerful enough to face Sauron himself? To answer this, we must delve beyond the surface of power and consider its true essence in the lore of J.R.R. Tolkien. Let us begin with Gandalf, the Grey Pilgrim, a mayor of the Valar sent to Middle-earth in the Third Age. Known as Olorin in Aman, Gandalf served under Manwë and Niana, the latter teaching him the virtues of compassion and perseverance. Sauron, however, was a Maye of Aul, corrupted by Melkor, later Morgoth, during the earliest days of Arda. By the Second Age, he had already become the Dark Lord, forging the One Ring in his dominion and malice were unparalleled. In light of their origins, both Gandalf and Sauron were of the same primordial order, the Maiar. But their paths diverged vastly. Gandalf's strength lay in wisdom and humility, while Sauron's power fed on domination and terror. When Gandalf was sent to Middle-earth, it was under strict orders from the Valar not to match Sauron's strength with overwhelming force. As Tolkien writes in the Letters of Tolkien, the Istari were to inspire resistance, not command armies or confront power directly. This constraint shaped Gandalf's approach. He became a guide and enabler of others rather than a warrior lord. Yet, within this limitation, Gandalf wielded immense power. At the Council of Elrond in TA 3018, his knowledge and foresight were pivotal in deciding the course of the One Ring. His confrontation with the Balrog of Mordor, where he declared himself a servant of the secret fire and wielder of the flame of Anor, demonstrated his spiritual strength. Could such strength extend to matching Sauron himself? Sauron's power was both intrinsic and bound to the One Ring. By pouring much of his essence into the ring, he achieved dominance, but also became vulnerable. This duality highlights the unique mechanics of power in Middle-earth. Strength often comes with a cost. Gandalf's power, in contrast, was deeply spiritual. As one blessed by the Valar, his influence reached beyond the physical, touching the hearts and wills of the free peoples. When Gandalf faced the Witch King at the siege of Minas Tirith, his unshaken resolve illustrated his readiness to confront the most fearsome servants of Sauron. So, could Gandalf confront Sauron head-on? The Maiar were peers in origin, but their strengths lay in different realms. In the next segment, we will explore whether Sauron's inherent vulnerabilities and Gandalf's role as a steward of free will could have led to a decisive battle, and the implications of such an encounter. In our last discussion, we explored the origins and nature of Gandalf's and Sauron's powers. Now let us turn to the question of direct confrontation. Could Gandalf have stood against Sauron, and more importantly, would he have succeeded? The strength of the Istari was intentionally veiled, cloaked in the guise of old men to avoid overwhelming the free peoples of Middle-earth with awe or fear. Gandalf's mission was not to wield power like Sauron, but to nurture courage and resistance among others. Yet, glimpses of his true might emerge in moments of dire need, such as his duel with the Balrog. The Balrog, after all, was also a Maia, corrupted like Sauron but far less powerful. Sauron, however, was no ordinary Maia. Empowered by Morgoth and strengthened by the One Ring, he commanded vast legions, crafted weapons of domination, and instilled fear across the ages. His primary weapon was his influence, which bent the wills of others. The One Ring was central to this power, allowing him to dominate the minds of great leaders and armies alike. Herein lies a paradox central to Middle-earth's mythology. Sauron's greatest strength was also his weakness. By embedding his essence into the One Ring, he made himself nearly indomitable while it remained intact. Yet this act also tethered his survival to the ring. Without it, Sauron could not assume a physical form, his spirit reduced to a shadow in the void. Could Gandalf, constrained by the Valar's mandate, have used this weakness against him? Direct confrontation would mean violating the principle of stewardship entrusted to the Istari. Moreover, even if Gandalf had unleashed his full power, his victory would have been uncertain. The Maya's strength lay in the realm of willpower and influence, and Sauron's mastery of this art far exceeded that of any living being in Middle-earth. Gandalf's true potential might only have been realized had he claimed the One Ring. In the Fellowship of the Ring, he resisted Frodo's offer of the ring, knowing that such power would corrupt him. Tolkien writes in the letters, "With it, Gandalf would have become as terrible as Sauron, and as great a tyrant." This refusal underscores the fundamental difference between Gandalf and Sauron. Where Sauron sought domination, Gandalf sought to empower others. Had he wielded the ring, he might have had the strength to confront Sauron directly, but this act would have undone his purpose and risked the creation of a new Dark Lord. Even without the ring, Gandalf could have engaged Sauron in a battle of wills. As a Maya of immense wisdom and spiritual fortitude, Gandalf was uniquely equipped to resist Sauron's malice. Such a confrontation might have mirrored the legendary contest between Finrod Felagund and Sauron in the First Age, where song and spirit clashed until Sauron's superior malice triumphed. Yet Gandalf was not Finrod. His wisdom was shaped by ages of service to the Valar and a deep understanding of the nature of evil. While he lacked Sauron's malice, Gandalf's strength lay in his compassion and ability to inspire others. Even in the darkest moments of the War of the Ring, Gandalf's unwavering hope rallied the Free Peoples to achieve what no single power could accomplish alone. The battle between Gandalf and Sauron, had it ever occurred, would not have been decided by raw strength alone. The powers of darkness and light in Tolkien's world often hinge on subtlety and choice rather than sheer force. In the final segment, we will discuss whether Sauron's downfall could have come at Gandalf's hands and what this reveals about Tolkien's vision of power and morality. In the final stretch of our exploration, we examine a critical question. If Gandalf and Sauron had faced one another, would Gandalf have prevailed? To answer, we must look at the heart of Tolkien's philosophy on power, choice, and morality. Gandalf's strength lay in his ability to bring disparate peoples together: hobbits, dwarves, elves, and men. He fostered hope where despair took root. As Gandalf himself stated in the Fellowship of the Ring, "It is not our part to master all the tides of the world, but to do what is in us for the succor of those years wherein we are set, uprooting the evil in the fields that we know." This ethos was his greatest weapon against Sauron. The Dark Lord's power was solitary and tyrannical, requiring submission from his servants. In contrast, Gandalf's influence empowered others to act freely. It was this collaboration, rather than any direct confrontation, that ultimately defeated Sauron. Frodo, Sam, and Gollum played pivotal roles in the destruction of the One Ring, a triumph that no single individual, not even Gandalf, could have achieved alone. Even if Gandalf had attempted to confront Sauron head-on, the outcome is shrouded in uncertainty. The Valar designed the Istari to resist direct action, not out of weakness, but to emphasize that true victory against evil requires humility, selflessness, and unity. These values starkly contrast with Sauron's methods of dominance and fear. Gandalf's restraint, while frustrating to those who sought a champion in him, reflected Tolkien's belief that unchecked power, even in the hands of the righteous, leads to corruption. This is evident in the cautionary tales of Feanor and even Galadriel, who long resisted her own temptation for dominion. Now, let us entertain a hypothetical scenario where Gandalf and Sauron clash in open combat. Imagine Gandalf fully unleashing the power of a Maya, radiant with the flame of Anor. Sauron, wielding the malice of ages and empowered by the One Ring, would be a force to reckon with. In such a duel, Gandalf might hold his ground temporarily, for he was no stranger to strength of will and endurance, as shown in his battle with the Balrog. However, the sheer scale of Sauron's influence, bolstered by the ring, would likely tilt the balance. Without the ring destroyed, Sauron's power was intricately tied to the foundations of Middle-earth itself, making him nearly invincible. Tolkien's writings consistently highlight that moral victory, not brute force, triumphs over evil. The destruction of the One Ring required pity, mercy, and sacrifice, the very qualities Sauron could neither understand nor counter. These virtues manifested in Frodo's pity for Gollum, Sam's unyielding loyalty, and Gandalf's guidance. If Gandalf had fought Sauron and lost, the narrative would have been one of despair, negating the core themes of hope and unity. Victory lay not in overpowering evil, but in unraveling its very foundation through choices made by ordinary individuals. So, was Gandalf powerful enough to face Sauron? In a purely physical or metaphysical sense, perhaps not. However, Tolkien's Legendarium reveals that such a confrontation would have been antithetical to the principles Gandalf represented. His role was not to overpower Sauron, but to inspire the free peoples to rise against tyranny together. Middle-earth's greatest victories were collaborative efforts, born of selflessness and hope. Gandalf embodied these ideals, standing as a beacon of wisdom and guidance rather than a conqueror. It was this quiet, enduring strength that ultimately ensured the defeat of Sauron, proof that true power lies not in domination, but in the ability to inspire.